The message of yoga is be true to yourself. If I'm not true to myself, then I cannot call myself a yogi.
خیلی ها درک درستی از کلاینت های ما، درک درستی از شرایط اینجا ندارن. نه حاضرند فرنچ بخونن و نه حاضرند تورنتو و ونکوور رو ترک بکنن و این بزرگترین مشکل کامیونیتی ایرانیه.
I mean, yoga teachers are known to be soft and kind and caring. But when it comes to business, sometimes as a leader, you need to take decisions and you need to be serious.
So some people have already spent a lot of money.
So they're buying their way into citizenship.
I wouldn't call. I don't. I
disagree. You're not going to accept that.
No, I disagree with that term. You know why? Because let me tell you why.
Which term? The buying or the?
Yes,
or
the buying.
Okay,
I disagree with that because Canada, and that's not my job, but I'm gonna do it. Canada is one of the few countries, even the United States right now, with this new golden cards and green cards and gray cards and whatever they are. Canada is one of the few countries in the world that do not sell its citizenship or permanent residency.
شما ایرانی رو هر کجای دنیا که بفرستید به حال یه ایرادی باید توش در بیاد و دنبال یه جای بهتر باشه.
I'm very funny actually. That's what people say. They say you're very funny. I don't think I'm funny, but thank you all for seeing me as a funny person.
It's November 13, 2025. This is Roqe. Hi there, welcome to episode 396 of Roqe. I'm Jian Gomeshi. Salam Dostan Aziz. Durud bar shoma. Hope you are doing well wherever you are tuning in from around the world. On this edition of Roqe, we want to dive into a major story that has global implications and very direct consequences for Iranians around the world. So just in the last few days, the Canadian government has announced sweeping changes to its immigration plan. Tougher limits on temporary residents, flatter targets for permanent residents, new barriers for those hoping to transition from study or work permits to PR status. It's a pretty dramatic shift for a country long known for opening its doors, and one that many say has been long overdue. So what does this mean for Iranians who want to come to Canada? What does it mean for those who are already here, hoping to stay? And why is there such a paradox inside our own community, with some calling for more openness and others arguing that Canada has already taken in too many newcomers? So we're going to unpack all of that in a panel conversation with two experts joining me here in the Roqe Studio, immigration consultants Vahid Babaei and Hesam Asadi. That's later in the program, the immigration issue debate conversation. It's an important one. Hope you stick around for that. But first, before we get to that, we begin today with a conversation about spirituality and self-reinvention and the delicate dance between authenticity and algorithm. She's one of the biggest Iranian names in yoga and wellness, a global presence who somehow manages to bring calm into the chaos of digital life. From Tehran to India to the US, now she's joining us on Zoom from Missouri. Samin Pourkhalili, better known as Samin Yoga, is here to share the story behind her rise, her mission, and the question at the heart of her work, which you might say is, can mindfulness survive the marketplace? She's proving that it can, I think. Samin Yoga, coming up for a full feature interview first, here on episode 396 of Roqe. So we'll get to that. Something else I wanted to mention. That was me knocking the microphone. Sorry. Something else I wanted to mention. Next week on Roqe, the return of Shahrukh. Do I have to say the kh? I do, right? Shahrukh Moshkin Mushkin Qalam. Shahrukh Mushkin Qalam. You know, it's always been a hard name to say, as good as my Persian gets. Shahrukh Mushkin. Okay, it's Mushkin, right? Not Mushkin. Mushkin. That's Super P, Parisa Sanjarani. Shahrukh Mushkin Qalam returns to Roqe. Shahrukh, a dear friend, an immense talent, a guy who was on Roqe in the first year of this program, that is now 5.5 years old. He is a character. Now, many of you in the diaspora around the world will know of Shahrukh, the incredible dancer, the actor, the writer, the performer, the creator, the choreographer, and the character. If you don't know him, you have to see him perform, but also you want to stick around for this interview next week or be here for this interview next week, by which I mean listen and view it when it comes out, because he is unpredictable. He is an iconoclast. He thinks in different ways from most people. And this interview that we did 4 or 5 years ago, the last time he was on Roqe, was quite memorable. I think it's one of our most popular, at least in the first 2 or 3 years of the show, it was one of our most popular YouTube editions. And because he, was just such a wild character saying interesting things. So Shahrukh will be here in the Roqe Studio at the beginning of next week. Can't wait to have him back on the show. In the meantime, if you're here in the Greater Toronto area, Shahrukh will be performing his new show, Arif Nameh, this Saturday in Toronto. So that's Saturday, November 15th. It's at a place called St. Andrew's Church. That's at 73 Simcoe Street. It's downtown Toronto. If you, like I say, if you're in the Greater Toronto area, I never want to make this show too Toronto centric, because I know there are many of you watching us and listening to us all around the world. But if you are in Toronto, here's your chance this Saturday to see Shahrukh. St. Andrew's Church, 73 Simcoe Street. It is 18 plus. I was talking to him a couple of days ago, and I said, I'm going to do a shout out to you. I'm going to promote your show that's happening this Saturday. And he said, amazing, thank you. Make sure you tell people that it's an adult show. It's 18 plus. And I was like, Mage lucht mishi. And he said, only for you. See, that's the kind of character we're talking about. 18 plus, so don't bring the kids, but go see Shahrukh this Saturday night. You'll see him on this show this time next week here in this chair. Let's get to our first interview. Today's edition of Roqe is brought to you in part by Quasar Homes. Quasar is a name synonymous with quality, detail, and innovation in Toronto's custom home building and major renovations. Founded and led by Amir Firouz, Quasar Homes has become a trusted choice for families who want exceptional craftsmanship and a seamless building experience with a passion for creating homes that combine elegance and comfort and functionality. Amir and his team continue to raise the standard of living for homeowners across the city of Toronto and beyond. They also happen to be the sponsors of the Roqe Media Icon Award. If you are looking to build, consider Quasar. Check them out at Quasar Homes on Instagram. That's Quasar Homes on Instagram. All right. Well, I am most happy to have this next guest on our show today. She's a major force in social media and also manages to exude calm and a meditative aura with her digital presence. I've been looking forward to having her on and exploring her journey. It's one thing to practice yoga. It's another to live it, to take an ancient discipline and translate it across languages and cultures and digital platforms without losing the soul in the scroll. And this next guest is someone who's done exactly that. Samin Pourkhalili, better known as Samin Yoga, has built a remarkable journey from Tehran to India to the United States. She started as a young woman in search of peace and has become an internationally recognized teacher and trainer and entrepreneur. Her path, it appears, has been about much more than postures or poses. It's about It's also about cultural translation, self-reinvention, and to be fair, the digital packaging of spirituality. She is now the founder of Samin Yoga Plus, a Farsi language global platform bringing yoga, meditation, and holistic wellness to Persian speakers around the world. A bridge, you might say, between East and West, between tradition and technology. And yet behind the serene images and graceful movements is a story of risk and resilience, and a question that feels increasingly urgent in our time. Can mindfulness survive the marketplace? So let's meet the woman at the center of the question. Samin Pourkhalili, Samin Yoga, joins me via Zoom from Missouri in the United States today. Hello.
Hey, hello. Or I say namaste from my heart to yours.
Thank you. Namaste to you. So nice to finally have you on the program. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Particularly thanks for doing this, given that you're, I don't know if you would call it a jet setter, but you're quite nomadic. You're all over the world. I know you're back home in the U.S. for a stint for a moment now, but you've been to over 8 countries this year.
Just this year, yeah.
That's your life now, huh? In a suitcase.
And I will be gone in like 2 months again, going back. We'll be on the road again.
Is it a stereotype, or is getting off on planes and traveling unhealthy for you?
I actually, I don't think it's unhealthy. I'm used to this lifestyle because I'm traveling and working as a yoga teacher since I was I'm doing particularly practicing, teaching, and traveling since I was 24. But even before that, when I was in Iran, I was doing yoga. So it's been a journey. It's been a lifetime. So I'm very used to it. And I don't feel this is unhealthy. It's working for me.
You have your coping you have like a particular bottle of water or like a pillow or something that you do on flights, the long flights to India, like...
I'm actually really easygoing. I'm not very picky. Like, I'm not a picky eater, picky sleeper. I do care about hygiene. So some of those countries I struggle a little bit. But no, I'm very easygoing. I can easily sleep on the plane, long flight, no problem. So far, so good. It's working.
It's really amazing, Samin, the audience that you've built speaks to the connection people feel with you. Let's start at the beginning, because I think I told you in the lead up to this, I want to talk about technology and how you maintain that outreach and authenticity. But let's get to your story first, which is you're this university student. You were a university student in Tehran studying IT.
Yes.
Not exactly a spiritual calling for a lot of people. IT. and yoga was, as I understand it, something almost no one around you was really understood. What drew you into it during that time, and when did it stop being exercise and become something deeper for you?
I was coming back from a background of being very a top student that always trying to achieve top scores at school and being the good kid, good student. So my life was very was filled with anxiety, and I was struggling with some stuff related to, as we call it in Iran, concours, how you get from high school to university. So I was not really feeling myself at that time. I was 18.
Just an extremely high pressure exams.
Very high pressure. And for someone in my situation, that I was always top student, with just one mistake, I couldn't get to university on the first year, as a lot of people do. So it was like, it broke my ego. That's the word I should say, that it was very hard for me to deal with that. And I was not really feeling myself. I would say maybe a little bit of depression. So my mom introduced me to yoga. She didn't know much about yoga either. She just heard that there's something that can help you to be calm and, in a meditative state. So she told me that, why don't you try yoga? I didn't know anything about yoga. I didn't know there are different styles of yoga. Where should I start? Like, am I even good at it? I never, I was never an athlete growing up. So I never tried any sports. I was all about being a good student. That's what my goal was. So I just decided to sign up for a class. I was very close to our home, and that's where everything started. But as I was in college, and just like two parallel worlds, it was going along the same lines. Like I was studying as an IT engineer in high school, in university, and at the same time I was practicing yoga. And the more I was letting myself to dive into this path and journey, I started to like it. I was seeing changes in me as a person. And slowly, I noticed that other people also telling me, that the ones that are close to me, they are also seeing changes in me. And they tell me that you changed, or you don't act like that anymore, or what are you doing? And all these things for a young, adult was fascinating. And
sorry, what's an example of how people would perceive you changing at that point?
I was much calmer. I would handle the situations and challenges better.
What were you like before?
I was anxious all the time, and I was very competitive. Very much. Like I was coming from a background of always being a top student. So I was like always competitive.
Right.
Now I'm just chill, like, yeah, whatever. So they were seeing those changes in me. And also I was noticing that I'm changing a lot. That calmness inside me was within, and also from the outside world.
And you knew,
and
you knew that was about the. You knew that was about the yoga, that calmness?
I think it was about yoga, because it was nothing else was changing in my life. And I was, when you are in your early 20s, it's very, people do wild things in college. So I'm very blessed that I was introduced to yoga, because I had purpose. Yoga gave me hope. Yoga gave me purpose. And I had a routine. I had a goal. I had a mission, whatever you want to call it. And that was something that at that age, at that time, was interesting for me. It was mysterious. But, the more I gain experience, and the more I, try to learn about this path, I realized that yoga has a lot more to offer. So it's not just that, just the surface of it that I experienced so far, or the people are seeing from my life. So yeah, that routine, that dedication, those changes, obviously it's not just the mental changes. I was also seeing the physical changes in me. It was also very interesting that everywhere you go, people say, hey, can you do a split? Can you stand on your head? So for a young, woman, that attention was good. But I'm not doing those things anymore. So please don't invite me to your parties.
You don't stand on your head on command. Wait a second.
Those eras are over.
Two steps back, or three steps back, maybe, in the conversation. I love that your mom introduces you to yoga, even though she wasn't practicing yoga herself. Like, you don't come from a long line of yogis or something.
No, actually, yoga in a very recent years, maybe less than 10 years, I'm not saying it was not in the Persian community, but it wasn't as popular as it is within the Persian community. So not a lot of people knew about yoga. It wasn't a lot of option. It wasn't a lot of resources even. So that's actually one of the main reasons that I decided to completely change my path and dedicate everything I have to yoga and to the Persian community. Because from that very early age, when I started yoga, I realized that there are not a lot of resources in Farsi. And I was keep telling myself, when I was practicing and attending different courses in India, I was telling myself that later on I want to share everything I learned in a hard way, in an easy way with others. So that's what I did.
Does your mom take credit for it now? Does she say all of this is because of me giving you the suggestion?
She's proud, but I know she's very supportive. I'm also blessed for having a very supportive family. She doesn't take the credit. She always said that it's definitely you put a lot of hard work, and we saw you sacrifice so many things to be where you are now. No, she doesn't take
She doesn't want
the
a
full
commission,
credit.
a finder's
She
fee.
gets very she gets very excited and happy anywhere and anytime that I do interview and I say it was because of my mom. She gets very happy.
You mentioned India a couple of moments ago,
Yeah.
and the story with you is that India changes everything for you. You've written that your teacher training in India was a door that opened inside you. You must have known. I mean, you chose to go to India. You must have known that it's going to have some kind of impact. What happened in India that you didn't anticipate?
Okay, when I talk about India, I get emotional. Iran is where I belong, and Iran is where I'm come from. But I think India is where captivated my soul. India is where I needed to go to learn, to grow. So I think India is my second home, and I have so much love and respect for that country. I didn't know what, but I knew something is out there and I needed to find it. And that's why I went to India. And I didn't even know where to go. The first time I was in India, I didn't even have any hotel booked. So I went to India, my flight landed, and I'm in a taxi, and the taxi driver asked me, where should we go? And I'm like, Mysore. And then we go there, and I slept the whole way from Bangalore to Mysore. And then we arrive, and he said, ma'am, what's the name of the hotel? I said, I don't have any hotel. Can you take me somewhere? And like how naive and innocent and unexperienced I was at that time. So I just went to India with no plan.
Kind of courageous too. You're by yourself, right? Single woman.
I was by myself, single woman with only $2,000 US dollar in my pocket. That's it. And not knowing English at all. So that's how I started going to India.
Did it what did it unlock in you? Like what was and was there an aha moment, or did this, I mean, is there in the movie version, are you on a mountain where you go, I found Samin, or is there was this just something that happened, a transformation that happened over a period of time in India?
I think it was over the time I started to like layer of me was fading. I was letting go. It was like a self journey, and I was letting go of a lot of layers of me that at that time I thought that it's just part of me, but it wasn't. So for instance, I mentioned in the earlier conversation that I'm a very easygoing person. I'm okay with traveling. That was not that version of me didn't exist at that time. So I showed up in India. I don't know if a lot of people listening to us been in India or been in that part of the world. So it's a lot different with, other parts of the world, maybe you're more familiar with. So I'm going from Tehran to India and having all the things that I'm attached to, from my high heels, from my makeup stuff, my conditioner, like the specific type of shampoo and everything. And people travel to India with backpack. So that layer of me, like step by step, I was losing myself in a good way. And I was finding myself again, a new version of me. It's like an old version of me was becoming, I'm not saying dying, because whatever you do, whatever your past is, it's for a reason. And they all lead you to be somewhere that you need to go. So whatever I was in terms of the culture, background, family, education, everything I experienced at that moment to that moment was leading me to become the person that I needed to be. And the reason I say I needed to be, because I think my mission was to help other young women to become. And I'm so glad that I took the courage and I did that so I can share it with others.
But also there's a version of this where, I mean, the new clothes fit, basically. You know, you went there and it felt right. The transformation was organic. I mean, there's a version of the story. I don't know if you've seen that series, White Lotus, but
Yes.
in the last season of it, I think there's a woman. I don't know. I don't think it's India, but they're somewhere, Thailand or something, and she wants to become, to work in yoga or some kind of spiritual thing, and they say just stay overnight, and she realizes that she can't.
Not for her.
It's not for her. She got to get back to the material living in the States. And so that could have happened. But you go there and you find that the high heels or the conditioner, all that isn't necessarily what
still
Samin.
wear high heels.
Not that there's anything wrong with
that.
I'm not. I don't mean to demonize high heels, but it's interesting to me. Tell me about your parents' reaction or your mom. I mean, was here, first of all, letting you go off into India by yourself. And second of all, when that transition begins to happen, I mean, if you're coming from a family, which I completely understand, I mean, we are Iranians of a certain type, of course, so I understand the pressure to do well in school and all of those things. If you're coming from that type of family, it's not necessarily the most open idea to go and become, a different person in India, So how did that transformation happen in terms of the conversations with your family?
I think people should be honest with themselves and count their blessings. So I'm not just going to give all the credit to myself. I was very blessed to have a very good and supportive family. And that's something that I was born with that. So my parents are not actually very stereotyped. I mean, they are to a degree Persian parents, but they've never been very strict in terms of trying to hold you back, if that's the word. So they were very open. But besides my parents, everyone else were so against it. So in fact, actually, the only people that supported me were my parents, my mom in particular. But anyone else, friends, close friends, relatives and everyone close, they were like, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? You're talking about India. You don't even have any plan. Or you studied IT. You spent so much money all these years to, finish your college. All these things that, probably a lot of people can, sense it, and they probably have the same experience that you want to just leave everything and become a teacher. How do you want to make money out of that? And all these questions and all this doubts that they were putting in my, planting in my head. But I knew I have to go. And referring to what you just said about the White Lotus, it wasn't everything. It wasn't bubbly and beautiful for me. The first day I cried, and many other days. And it's not that I just went there and I was like, oh, this is great. This is my home. No, not at all. There was a lot of time that I doubted myself. When I was working and living in Nepal, for instance, a couple years later after that, I was in a place that was, I didn't have a lot of money and I was not getting paid a lot. So I was in a hostel that was so dirty that a lot of times I was doubting my path. I was doubting myself that, am I in the right path? Am I doing the right thing? But I strongly believe in listening to your heart. I think our inner voice would tell us the path. And if people listen carefully to what your inner voice is telling you, it will always guide you. And that's what I did. And that's what I do in everything I do. And that's what meditation and yoga do for you. It kind of clear the sky and all those clouds that is covering that inner voice. You can connect with that inner voice. With it, it's not that you're not gaining something. It's there. You just have to find it. You just have to knock. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. It's okay. Can I ask you about as a sidebar? I want to ask you about India, Just because you've mentioned India now 2 or 3 times in a very loving and emotional way. You said you get emotional when you talk about India. I feel like there's 2 parallel feelings that Iranians tend to have about India. There's those Iranians who, many of whom who've gone to India, who speak about it as life-changing. We've actually had a few people on this show. I mean, we're doing this for 5 or 6 years now, Roqe, where we talk about people's stories. And I can tell you there's a few, especially women, who went from Iran to India and their lives changed, and some of whom have stayed there. One of those was a Bollywood actress, and another one's a percussionist, and and then there's a bunch of people, many Iranians that one knows that say "Pasha meram behen vase chi," like they kind of think, why would I go to India? What's in India? And they they would sooner pick Dubai or some luxury place or LA or something. What do you tell the second group about India that they don't understand if they're not keen to go and visit there?
I think it depends on what you're looking for in life. If you're looking for, 5-star hotel and having your cocktail by the beach, then Dubai is your place. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for changes, then probably there are more options than Dubai or LA to go and explore, not only India, but I would tell those people that keep your heart and mind open to new experiences, and you will be surprised what the universe is offering you within that journey. Because I was thinking the same way. I was so scared going to India or like Asia or other countries in that part of the world. But if you are open to new experiences, new cultures, then that's your calling. You should go and give it a try. But if you're not into that, then you probably would go and you wouldn't like it. So it's not for everyone. I'm being completely honest here. But if you go and you're open, you would have an amazing time. And again, on the side, India is the land of the paradox. Like everything is too extreme. So yes, there are things that will be shocking for a lot of us in terms of the culture, the way that, the country operates and, everything. But if you're a person that looking for like more focus on the positive things and looking for good things in every aspect of life, then you will see a different side of India. And it's very important to know, maybe for the first time, if you are not very experienced in terms of traveling, maybe go with a group or with like someone that understand it better. Like, for instance, we take our own students with our school every year to India to practice advanced yoga and to kind of experience that world and be connected with the root of yoga. So when they come with us, obviously it's a different experience because we help them with everything, with visa, ticket, the place that they stay, food, everything, how to pack their luggages before coming, so they don't end up like me with high heels in India and stuff like that. So it's very important to know first what you want, what's your goal, and be open. And also, if this is not you're not very experienced, go with someone or a group that they are more familiar with the culture. That's what I would tell them.
Why did you leave India? I mean, if it's this powerful for you, or even that part of the world, why come to the United States?
Well, I think for a lot of, I'm being completely honest, I think for a lot of Iranian, having a second passport and having that freedom is very important. So I needed to build my life somewhere that gives that future security, I would say, freedom, and so many things that comes with that second nationality or the passport or the freedom and whatever it gives you. But another reason is because when I was in India, I was very young and I was looking for experiences. So I'm still the same person. Even in US, I don't live here all the time. I probably only spend 3 to 4 months maximum in the US, and most of the time I'm traveling. So I'm a person.
And by the way,
mindset,
you're not old now. You're still.
I am. Trust me.
You're in your mid-30s, I think, right? It's not over yet. Yeah.
Yeah, but compared to when I was in my 20s, so I'm very much into new experiences, new places, new culture. So when I'm in a place for so long, I get bored and I have to change my place. So I couldn't really live in India for long because of the visa situation. I had a problem with my visa, so I stayed there as much as I could, and I go there as much as I can. But there are a lot of factors. But I love to travel. I love to go to different places. I can't just be in one place.
Tell me about how. Okay, let's get into how you used your IT background to find the place where technology meets spirituality. You run this growing app, an online academy, and large social channels, all in a world where yoga, as well, to be fair, is $1 billion industry now. I wasn't surprised when I read that earlier today. How do you, Samin, just to get directly to the question, how do you personally reconcile profit with authenticity? Can those two goals truly coexist without one contaminating the other?
This is what I tell my students, because right now I'm a teacher of the teachers. So I help people how to become a yoga teacher. So when I talk about the marketing, the yoga business, I always tell my students in the class that it is very important to keep your practice and the business of yoga separate, because one can affect the other. So it is very important to have that personal practice for you, because when it becomes a business, it's a business just like any other business. It has its characteristic and quality and stress. Everything comes with a business and money, but you can still run a business in a positive way. We really believe in giving back to the community. For that reason, we always try to have our membership, we have our money stream, everything that comes with the online world and app and website. But we have a team that makes sure that everything is in a very fair way, and we give it back to the community. We have free content all the time. We have payment plan. We have what's the wish when you don't have enough money? Sorry, I forgot the word. When you want to go to college but you don't have enough money,
you get scholarship.
A scholarship. Right. Thank you. Just forgot that completely.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a scholarship for the people that they love this path and they're very dedicated, but they just don't have it. So we help them. So this is how we try to keep the balance and make it fair.
Take me back to the first thing. When you say you have to separate the yoga from the business. So what break that down for me. What does that actually mean?
When this is from my own experience.
Because in your case, they do seem intertwined in a very positive way. I mean, I do believe you're making positive change, but it looks like your business is your practice and your practice is your business as well, right?
It is, but when you keep them separate and you manage to have that balance. I give you an example from my own experience and working with more than 1,000 people over the last 16, 17 years. When everyone starts yoga, they come to their mat because they want to feel less stressed. They want to connect to themselves. They have all this positive, mindset about yoga, and they get that, just like how I did it and how a lot of other people is doing it. And this is your safe place. You come to your mat, you practice, you're distracted from anything else. All the noises are shut down and you're just in that moment. And this is beautiful. and you want more because this is who we are as human. We always want more. And then you're like, this is great. I want to be a yoga teacher. I want to make this one my living. I want to make money out of it. But once they become a yoga teacher and they're trying to make money out of that, then the practice is slowly fade away, because now you're on your mat thinking about, how can I run my next classes? How can I make more money? How can I have more students? That's where I tell my students, you need to separate those. So you need to have your personal practice where you only think about your growth, your inner voice, connecting to yourself, and experience all those things that you come to yoga for that. And do not let that to mix with the other things. So as long as you are practicing, you're just practicing. You're not a teacher.
And how do you do that? How do you do that yourself? I mean, there's got to be. I was watching your videos. I mean, look, some of them you're just straight out teaching. It's you. That's what you're doing. But when you're trying to practice and demonstrate calm, for example, how do you avoid it being performative? In other words, you know the camera's on. How are you ensuring that you're practicing calm rather than performing calm, if that makes sense?
Yeah, when I say separate those things, I don't mean by when you're teaching. Of course, when I'm teaching, I'm the same person I am in my personal practice. That calmness should come from within to, other than that, it's just the act, right? So it has to come from my personal practice to be able to show it. That's not what I meant by separating work and practice. What I mean is sometimes, yoga teachers are known to be soft and kind and caring. But when it comes to business, sometimes as a leader, you need to take decisions and you need to be serious. That's where you need to, separate those things. And you say, for the sake of my business, I need to make this decision. For the sake of the group, I need to kick this person out of the course. And those decisions are hard, very hard, because you are practicing to be kind to yourself, to others. But when you are running a big business, then it's a business. That's that's what I meant when I say you need to separate those things. Because as a leader, sometimes you need to make decisions, and those decisions are not the same word as like the feeling as yoga.
Yeah,
so
I got you.
those things need to be separate, if I could make myself clear.
Yeah. Tell me more about the online space, because how do you separate yourself from, this is an ongoing conversation we've been having, in terms of people who declare themselves like life coaches on Instagram, or are suddenly teaching fitness even though they're not trained to do so, or certified or something. Yoga on Instagram can kind of look like acrobatics mixed with glamour. You said you want to bridge the gap between trend and enlightenment. What is your honest take on what social media has done for yoga, good and bad?
I think that's also another thing in marketing. We talk about it with our students. I think we need to understand what is the purpose of the social media. I'm talking just about Instagram, and because each platform has their own, goal and purpose. Instagram is a platform right now, as we're talking, is an entertainment platform. People come to Instagram to see things that is quick, fast, entertaining, and not a lot of people are on Instagram to learn, right? So let's just be honest. This is a platform to get people's attention and as quick as possible, give them your message, whatever it is. It's, comedy, is podcast, is yoga, whatever it is. So it is really hard for people like me or any other teachers that are trying to teach something in a platform that is so competitive and is so visual and everything is so fast. I mean, yoga is not fast, right? So you need to be fast to show yoga.
Right.
It's really hard, but you need to be creative. I personally always focus on the positive things rather than, talk about all the bad things that social media has. Yeah, of course, it has good side and bad side, but it depends how we use it. Like me personally, I don't spend a lot of time on social media, just scrolling and wasting my time. So for me, it's good because it's helping me to connect with more people. It's helping me to do what I believe is good for people and promote that. It's helping my business. It's helping my personal growth. And also I'm learning. I'm connecting with more teachers. I'm learning from others. So I see it as a positive thing. It depends how you use it. I mean, right now I'm connected to you. I'm here. So that's a good thing. We connect through social media. That's a very, very powerful thing. But it depends how you use it. And I think once there is money involved, things get a little bit off track. And yoga became a little bit off track since was introduced to West and since become a little bit money making out of this business. It's a very giant business and giant market, and we are talking about like billions of dollars, probably global.
Maybe to put it more succinctly, I mean, I used to do a bunch of practice yoga for a few years, and I would have the instructor, the teacher, in the beginning sort of explain, why are we here? Whether it was different kinds of yoga. For a while, I did Bikram. Let's and most of the sort of mission-oriented tenets of yoga don't seem to jive with capitalism. They would be the opposite almost of acquisition and as you said earlier, competition and wanting to accrue more and more materialism. So that this is where it's an interesting. It's almost like the two Samins, the one pre and post India. How you navigate the one that is ambitious and needs to make a living and wants to have nice things, and there's nothing wrong with that. With the second one who wants to really embody that yogic mission of you don't need material goods and you need to the pursuit of meditation and peace, etc. That's the tension that's very interesting for me with you. Not that you exhibit any tension, but I'm curious how you navigate that.
I think I'm not talking about other teachers. I can only talk from my own experience and myself. I don't think I ever promote myself or gave that image of stereotype yoga teachers that I'm not into that or I'm not into that or yoga is just about this or spirituality. I'm actually very open about what I like and what is my lifestyle. What you see as Samin Yoga on social media is exactly what it is, behind the camera. I don't hide anything. Like I think in Persian market, Persian community, yoga community, proudly, I would say that I changed that in a way that maybe I shouldn't say that, but I was kind of like one of the first people that started to break the stereotype that, hey, I like to wear jewelries, I like to do makeup, I like to travel, and I sometimes like fancy things. And there is nothing wrong with that. I think the message of yoga is be true to yourself. If I'm not true to myself, then I cannot call myself a yogi. If I'm just following something just because it's been told or it's been taught that way, and I'm just blindly following that, then I think I'm missing the message of yoga here. And I wouldn't be a good example to teach that to others. That's what I tell my students. A lot of times they say, Samin June, we really like to teach like you or say the things like you or the way that you teach. And I say, that's great. When you start, you want someone to look after, to look up and get inspired by. But eventually everyone's is unique. we have so many different needs in society. So people can be attracted to different kind of teachers. So be who you are, and then the people can connect to you, will find you. You don't, in order to become a yoga teacher, you don't have to be someone else. You can be yourself and still practice yoga, because what we do in yoga is, before asana, before the practice of the physical practice of yoga, the 8 limbs of the yoga philosophy is yama, niyama. And the yama is 5 steps. There are so many aspects of yoga beyond just that, what we see on social media. I try to be true to those things, like do not steal, do not break people's heart, do not lie, do not be harmful to yourself and others. All these little rules that how to behave as a human being. And I think those are more important than what I'm wearing, how do I look, or what brand I'm taking, brand of mat I'm buying, and everything. And another thing is that, Jian, a lot of people don't understand that we are changing all the time as a human and society. So our needs will change. That's what I learned in a monastery in Japan. One of the monks actually said that. They said, no longer human men need to go to on top of the mountain to do meditation, because the needs of the society changed, right? So we need to have techniques or approaches that teach people how to embrace and take these ancient teachings into their daily lives. Because we are not living in the Buddha time anymore, right? It's a different time. It's a different need.
First of all, that was a great answer to how you navigate be true to yourself, and it's okay to be to love yoga and practice it, and to like fancy things. I love that answer. But also, when you talk about we don't live in ancient times, we are a globalized world because of technology. This is the IT girl again, and you now, your community, your whole model is based on reaching a lot of people through an app, right? Through technology. And it has to be the case that that something like yoga is a lot harder to communicate to somebody who's not in front of you physically, but on a screen on the other side of the world. And so when you first started, for me, a lot of the genesis of a lot of this feels like COVID, because everything was, all these people who were physical trainers or yoga teachers or whatever, dance teachers, had to start doing that on a camera and for people in their own homes. But how have you addressed that challenge of communicating something, of teaching something without having humans in front of you in a room where you can adjust them or look into their eyes or feel their energy?
I'm actually glad you asked that question, because for me, this journey started before COVID. I had a mission. I knew that when I started yoga, I said that earlier, that I knew that I need to learn to give it back. So I was teaching online before COVID since 2016. If you go and look at my early videos on YouTube, you will see that it's from that era. I was getting hate messages. Like, people would sending me really, really brutal messages. A lot of them was coming from yoga teachers, unfortunately. They were judging me for what I'm doing, what I'm like changing in the community. It wasn't a common thing even in the international world, like in the English world, but in Farsi community, yoga Farsi community, for sure it was not new. It's a common thing. It was probably, I don't want to say the first one, but maybe one of the first ones.
And what was the criticism?
That you are hurting people. You're creating karma for yourself by hurting people. You can't teach yoga online. What you are doing. And I was not even making money out of that. At that time, I didn't even, was offering any classes, to charge. I was really just giving it back to the community, because I felt that need. I was thinking that I was seeing that there are not a lot of resources in the Farsi community for yoga. So I was just giving it back, and I was doing everything I could in my power to make sure, because again, I really see myself a yogi, and I love to live by those rules of the yoga. So I wasn't just thinking about money. I was teaching in a local yoga studios in Oregon, USA, and I was just doing fine. But I wanted to give it back. So I started to teach yoga online so I can connect with more people that they don't have access to yoga. And what was giving me the motivation was messages I was receiving from people from like small villages in Iran. Hey, we don't have access to yoga classes. This is great. I really get goosebumps talking about that even after all these years. Like, I'm a woman, I just gave birth. Yet like people would send me very emotional messages like, I don't have good relationship with, post pregnancy, I have depression, I don't have good relationship with my family, nobody understand me. The only time that I feel safe and I have a little bit of time for myself is when I come and practice yoga with me.
Wow.
So that was like motivating me to do more and more and more, despite that I'm getting all these hate messages and all these people trying to stop me. And then the COVID hits. But I was already 2-3 years in it.
Right.
But I had all the equipment. I knew how to do it. I was okay with the online world. So that was like, this is not, it's not new to me.
Right.
I'm already expert on it.
Right.
So I just did it more. So when the COVID hit, I did it more. Just like a lot of other people, I had more time. I was not traveling. So I did it more. And it's not that I try to think about like, oh, let's just see how can I make money out of people. Never. That's not my intention ever. I saw the need and I saw that people are requesting and I have it and I can give it. And again, this is not something unusual in the yoga world or in the spirituality world. You go to monasteries. I go like a couple times of the year for practices in different parts of the world. You pay. This is what karma means. You give it back in whatever form you can. So that's how I look at it.
And Samin, tell me about the part and parcel of this Farsi first mission. Like you make a deliberate choice to build your platform in Persian. And was that primarily about access for Iranians, or was there something more emotional, a sense of reclaiming a voice that too often has been silent in the global wellness stage for Iranians?
No, I didn't honestly have any plan, because if I was looking for like this master plan, I told you before the interview, I had this is not my first account on social media. I had an account back in 2012 when I was in Iran. And at that time, I had like 12,000 followers, which is a big number for that time. And because of yoga, because I wanted to be so focused on my yoga path and I wanted to dedicate my whole time and, everything to yoga, I deleted my account and I had no problem with that. So when I moved to US, I started to, I wasn't on social media, but I had just this personal account and I started to see a lot of wrong and false information about yoga. And that hit me because I just remember that I promised myself when I started this journey that when I learn something in a hard way, I want to teach others in a, softer and smoother version and teach other people how to become yoga teacher like me, because it's not a lot of information out there. So that was my motivation. And that's how I started. I wasn't looking for something in return. I was just sharing information because people were asking, like, how can I become a yoga teacher? What is the best way to get my certificate in yoga that can be recognized by other countries too? Like,
why were you sure you wanted to do it in Persian?
At first, because it was not a lot of information. It was tons of information in English, but Persians didn't have that. Right. But at the time when I moved to US, so it was new opportunity, new life, and I was doing just fine. And in fact, it was the beginning of like a doorway to more international community. So it was in so many other ways, it was better for me to go on that path. To be frankly, honestly, it would make more sense. But for me was like because I always listen to my heart, always. Were there any time that I doubted myself and I said, I wish I never did that? Yes, sometimes the Persian makes me crazy, but I love that. I wanted to. It's my first language. I'm more familiar with Persian language. I'm in so many other ways that I'm more connected to that background. So I was like, I want to give that a try. It's more me. So I listened to my heart, and I thought that a lot of people out there might need my help, need my experiences. So that's what I started. And it wasn't like this. Now we see a lot of young women teachers. A lot of them are my own students. They're doing great job. I'm so proud of each of them. But when I started, it wasn't a lot of information in like online words. So I'm trying to brag about it a little bit, maybe, but I was kind of like the first one.
We can be Roqe about it. Who is your audience these days?
I wouldn't say Iranian, because it's all the Persian speakers, whoever speaks Persian. Most of them Iranian, but a lot of are Afghan families. Some people that speak Persian from Iraq. I have like a student and some followers. Some people from Pakistan. Everyone speaks Farsi, and a lot of people that are somehow related to the Persians. Like, for instance, I have some students that are married to someone that is Persian.
Nice, yes.
And they can practice with me, but mostly Iranian, because I speak Farsi.
And a variety of ages, or does it skew female, or is it both genders, or
both genders?
Or
I have
all
a lot
genders,
of
I suppose,
actually
yeah.
very successful male teachers, some in Canada, other parts of the world. There are US, there are actually teachers, they're very good teachers now. Both, but mostly women. Yeah, there are, I would say I had 18 years old to even like 72.
Nice. And
Yeah.
are you one of those people who your following is so big at this point? How do you, I mean, you have to be able to do yoga and teach, and you can't just sit on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube all day answering people and stuff. So how do you manage that? I mean, I'm sure that there are people sending you heartfelt things or asking you questions, do you set up a certain time each day where you respond to all of that, or do you kindly say, hey, I can't get to everything? Or, I mean, you've got hundreds of thousands of followers, right?
It's very hard for a yoga teacher to have a big community, because again, Instagram is about entertainment. So it's like, I'm not entertaining people. I'm just giving like boring yoga classes. But
apparently you are entertaining them, because you're getting millions of views. Yeah.
I'm very funny, actually. That's what people say. They say you're very funny. I don't think I'm funny, but thank you all for seeing me as a funny person. I think I have a very honest approach with my followers. So a lot of times I'm within the courses, so I don't have a lot of time to create content. So I just come and tell them honestly, like, hey guys, I'm sorry, it's been a couple of weeks, I didn't post. I'm like in the middle of the classes, I'm very busy, and they accept it. And sometimes I'm so active and I just, I don't have actually some master plan for like algorithm or chase it. It's just so organic. It's just from the heart to their heart. It's really like, that's what I say. Namaste az qalb man be qalb shoma. It's really coming from my heart. And I think that's the power. That's the trick. That's the magic.
I'm so grateful to have you on the program and to have a chance to talk to you. I'm just going to give you a couple more and let you go. You've talked about, you've said that self-awareness isn't always pretty, that yoga can surface pain before peace.
Did I say that?
Yeah. You hinted at it, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, is it not true? Self-awareness isn't always pretty? Is that, you wouldn't agree with that?
Yeah, the journey sometimes can be rough.
Okay.
If that's what I refer.
So what is the hardest emotional truth, or one of the hard emotional truths that your practice has forced you to confront?
I'm trying not to cry. I think if I understood your question correct, if I'm giving the wrong answer, please let me know. I think the biggest and the hardest sacrifice I should say that I did on this path is that I'm no longer able to go back to my country because I'm true to myself, to my values, and I'm just not a person to act. If something is what I truly believe, I talk about it. So I think that is the hardest part of my journey. It's something that I face and I sacrifice.
That's hard, huh?
Yeah.
You'd like to do that. You'd like to be able to practice yoga in Iran again.
I think I'm already practicing yoga in Iran. I'm in everyone's house through the magic of the social media and online world. When people send me, I'm getting goosebumps again. I'm very emotional. When people send me every day pictures of themselves practicing in their living room with me on the TV, with their pets, with their kids, with their loved ones, there is no price for that. There is no price. You can't exchange that with millions of dollars. And yes, I'm already there.
Do you know? Do you know you couldn't go back, or you're just assuming that it would be difficult to?
I think just like a lot of people, I'm assuming I can't because of all this, actions
Speaking
that I do. That it comes with yoga. Again, yoga is not just the asana. Yoga is talking about when it's injustice, talk about it. When you have a voice, use it. When it's beyond the mat, it's not just the mat. That's something that a lot of people just practice yoga. It's great. You can stand on your hand and your head and do a split, but it's way more than that. So that's what yoga means to me. And I think because of all those things that I probably said or done, I'm assuming that it wouldn't be the smartest move.
You wrote something very powerful during the Women Life Freedom protests, and you haven't been shy. Before I let you go, I mean, you've made a real case today that there's no plan. It's all been organic. You kind of follow I can see that. I mean, like I said, people feel a connection to you, so it doesn't surprise me that you don't have a master plan, and yet you have these followers, these hundreds of thousands. Where do you want to take this? I mean, what's the next, if it's Samin 3.0 now, after the initial and the India and then the last 10 years of growth online and with your business? I mean, where do you ideally want this all to go?
I would love all my students to become very successful, and I would love to all of them be able to do what they want to do. And I like this journey that I started become bigger and bigger, not with only me, with the help of other teachers, either my own students or anyone on this path. I want the global yoga community recognize the Persian yoga community. That's something that I dream of, because I think we have a lot of talented, beautiful teachers that they have a lot to offer. And because we are a closed community, not a lot of businesses, not a lot of organization can hear about us. So I would do everything I can in my power to my last breath to be able to be the voice of the others and help them to achieve this goal together, not only me, together. There is no Samin. We are all Samin Yoga.
It's really nice to have you on the show. I'm guessing, by the way, that you recommend yoga to everybody, right?
Everyone.
You think we should all be doing seniors, juniors, moms, dads, kids, everybody should be.
And don't make it complicated for yourself. Like, people think that in order to do yoga, you have to be flexible, or you have to be able to always be peaceful to be able to do meditation. No, not at all. My practice personally sometimes is super intense. Sometimes it's just some stretches. When I travel, just, a couple of stretches, and that's it. I think everyone needs yoga, no matter of their gender, their age, or even their background. They can do any other. I have a lot of students that they professionally do something, but they also take yoga serious. And that's also another dream that I have for the Persian community, to be able to recognize yoga, a little bit more.
Thanks again for doing this, and safe travels, all that traveling.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you in person very soon.
Me too. Khadafis.
Thank you. Khadafis.
All right, here we go. It is November, and in the last few days, the Canadian government has announced sweeping changes to its immigration plan for the next few years. Now, for a country that has opened its doors wider than almost any other in the world, this marks a sharp turn, a cooling of what has been a red-hot immigration policy that, to be fair, many have believed was far too liberal. Canada will now cap the number of temporary residents, international students, and foreign workers, and effectively flatten the number of permanent residents through 2026, 27, and 28. And perhaps most importantly, it will become harder to transition from a temporary visa, that is a study or work permit, to permanent residency. So for those following Roqe outside of Canada, here's why this matters to you. This isn't just a Canadian story. It's part of a global pattern from the UK to Germany to Australia. Governments are tightening immigration policies after years of record intake. It's a response to housing shortages, to job pressures, political backlash. And Canada, often seen as the most welcoming nation in the West, is now joining that global reset, if you will. And there are arguments on both sides of this shift. So supporters of the new rules will point to overstretched housing markets, overwhelmed infrastructure, cost of living crisis that many believe has been worsened by unsustainably high immigration numbers. They say the country needs time to catch its breath, to build more homes, strengthen services, ensure that newcomers already here have a fair chance to integrate and thrive. Critics, on the other hand, worry that these cuts will choke off talent, innovation, and diversity, and risk reversing one of Canada's greatest modern success stories. For Iranians around the world, you might say this is an especially significant development. Canada has, of course, been one of the top destinations for Iranian migrants in the last 5 years, from students and skilled workers to families seeking safety and opportunity. Hundreds of thousands of Iranians have made the journey through these very visa streams that are now being curbed. So these new rules don't just affect those already in Canada, they change the dream and the roadmap for countless Iranians abroad who have been planning their future here. At the same time, there's a paradox within the Iranian Canadian community itself, because while many Iranians want more open doors for newcomers, others, often those who've recently arrived and settled themselves, quietly or openly support tougher immigration rules. Why is that? Is it concern about housing, jobs, or fairness, or something deeper about identity, competition, and belonging? So, for this edition of Roqe, we're breaking it all down. What exactly do these new rules mean? How will they affect Iranians who want to come and those already here who want to stay? And what does this global tightening of immigration policy say about the world and where it's headed? To help me navigate this changing landscape, two experts are joining me in the Roqe Studio, both highly respected immigration consultants who have guided thousands of Iranians through the Canadian system. Vahid Babaei is a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and the founder of I2 Canada Immigration Services, a Toronto-based firm that has helped newcomers from Iran and beyond find pathways to study, work, and permanent residence in Canada. And Hesam Asadi is the co-founder of Afra Immigration Services, also in Toronto, an experienced advisor who has worked with a wide range of international clients, especially Iranians, seeking to navigate the complex Canadian process. Gentlemen, welcome to both of you. Welcome to Roqe.
Thank you so much, Jian, to having me here.
Thank you for being here, Vahid. Thank you, Hesam.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And listen, English or Persian, whatever is the most comfortable. Most of our audience is able to speak both. Let's start with the big picture. I tried to summarize it there, but you guys, this is what you do every day. What exactly are these new rule changes? What is the Canadian government doing differently now? And how significant is this shift compared to the last 5 years? Hesam.
If you want to look at the bigger picture here, there are two major changes coming. And if I want to summarize those changes, because there are a lot of details we're not getting into right now, because we don't obviously have the time. You won't give me that much time. But
We're just starting, bro. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm not getting into details for now, but those major changes are the new immigration level plans introduced by the Liberal government of Mark Carney a couple of days ago, and a very important piece of legislation that is going to come into effect sometime at the end of 2025 or early 2026, which is called the Bill C-12, or Strengthening Canada's Immigration System and Borders. Now, if I want me to dissect those things into highlights, I can tell you that this Bill C-12 is going to have a dramatic effect.
Sorry, the first one is just lessening the amount of people that are allowed in, right? I mean, the first big change that you just talked about, which is now below 1%. They're just lowering the numbers to 370,000 or something like that get in.
Well, you see, it's well, in terms of quantity, most numbers are going to go down in 2026 through 2028. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. That's just because a lot of people just focus on the numbers, the quantities, but a lot of qualities will change, and it's going to affect a lot of people. But I will get into
okay,
that later.
and C-12 is, you were saying?
Yeah, C-12 includes a lot of hot subject matters, including exports, imports, Canadian border security, especially in light of the Trump administration and the threat of tariffs in Canada. But I think what really relates most to your audience, especially Iranians who are already inside Canada on different types of temporary residence permits or resident visas, is the effect it's going to have on asylum seekers. It is going to change their fate.
Those who claim refugee status.
Those who have already claimed refugee status, but mostly those who are going to do so.
Okay.
Yeah, but
let me bring Vahid in.
Yeah, sure.
Why are these changes happening now, and how alarmed should we be? Should Iranians be about these changes?
Just because, as you know, that most of my clients and audience on my pages are Persian.
Go ahead.
They prefer.
okay.
Yeah, right. That's okay. Sorry, just بخاطر من ترجیح میدم که فارسی صحبت کنم که بتونم تو پیجم بچهای خودمونم خیلی شاید راحت‌تر استفادهشو بکنم. ببینید، مگه بخوام این تغییرات رو خیلی خلاصه بگم، داستان اینجاست که اداره مهاجرت اومده تمام تمرکزش رو داره میذاره رو people who are in Canada already. They're working, they're paying tax, and just they're contributing under the community. اونایی که دارن تکس پرداخت میکنن، جاب دارن، کار میکنن و استودنت هستن. به خاطر اینکه ما وقتی نگاه میکنیم میبینیم که حق اونایی که استودنت بودن خیلی چاپ شده، هزینه‌های زیادی بابت تحصیل پرداخت کردن. They're paying just more than $20,000 per year per study, just in a master or PhD or everywhere. برای همین دولت کانادا اومده بیشتر الان داره تمرکزش رو میذاره که اونایی که اومدن درس خوندن، کار کردن، تکس دارن پرداخت میکنن، برای اینها بتونه یه مسیری پیدا کنه برای گرفتن PR.
خب are these changes, I mean, I know you're going to say both. Are these more significant for those who want to get to Canada? Let's talk about Iranians, for example. Are they more significant for Iranians who are hoping to come to Canada, or are they more significant for Iranians who are already here and fall into that category where they haven't gotten their permanent residency yet, and the temporary to permanent, the TR to PR as they call it, is it more significant for them, Hesam?
Yeah, you know all the answers. The answer is both. However, it depends on the lens through which you're looking at it. It depends on the programs, or let me put it this way. It depends on the profiles of these people who are already inside Canada and those people who are outside Canada, right? So, if we are talking asylum seekers, who are a group of people who are already inside Canada, it's going to be more difficult for them. If you're looking at people who work, especially in high-demand occupations, right? Either in trades or in high-skilled professions, let's say IT, healthcare, etc. And they're already inside Canada, they're paying taxes, and they're established, their English proficiency or French proficiency is high, then it's going to be easier for them.
But in the first category, are you saying that somebody who has successfully declared refugee status
No.
could be sent home?
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
What does asylum seeker mean?
So we have a concept in immigration law, in IRPA and IRPR, that is Immigration Refugee Protection Regulations.
Okay.
You see, when you come to Canada and you want to apply as an asylum seeker, you apply for a refugee, either you apply at the port of entry, I mean right after you arrive in Canada, or you come into Canada and for any reason your circumstances back home especially change after a while that you're in Canada. For any reason, I'm not getting into that. So suppose that you come to Canada as a student. After a year, after 2 years, your circumstances change, and then you want to apply for asylum. Technically, the term for such people, for such asylum seekers, is refugee surplus, right? That's the term. So this change will mainly apply to these people, refugee surplus. Right?
Okay.
People who have been in Canada for a while and now they want to apply for refugee. And I can tell you the reason very quickly. The reason is people who entered Canada after a certain month, I don't remember, in 2020, and they have been in Canada for more than 1 year. I mean, more than 1 year has passed from their original entry to Canada. And it doesn't matter how many times you just got out of Canada and then you return, it doesn't matter. But if more than 1 year has passed since your original entry into Canada, you are no longer eligible to apply for refugee. And that's a very huge
So
change.
what if you came here as a student and the student visa is running out? You can no longer now say, under this new rule, you wouldn't be able to say I'm a refugee. If I go back, I'd be in trouble.
That's what I'm talking about. If more than 1 year has passed since your original entry as a student, as a visitor, as a worker, any temporary resident, then you are no longer eligible.
So Vahid, how many clients do you have, or how many people do you know that this change would actually directly affect? That are in danger now all of a sudden of being sent back, where a couple of months ago they would have thought they're on track for permanent residency?
I'm sorry, if I may, I need to add something. This Bill C-12 has not come into effect yet.
Will it?
It will. Most probably it will. So I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. We're projecting.
Projecting early 2026 or late 2025.
Okay. خواهش می‌کنم.
اگه منظورتون این تغییرات جدیدی هست که داره مهاجرت اعلام کرده، تقریبا رو تمام کلاینت های ما تاثیرات خودش رو میذاره. به خاطر اینکه ببینید اداره مهاجرت در عالم واقعیت، چیزی که ما داریم حس میکنیم و داریم میبینیمش، یک سری برنامه‌هایی رو اومده تا جایی که امکان داشته باشه میخواد تقاضاشو کم کنه، مثل رفیوجی، مثل پناهندگی. مثلا پروسسینگ تایمش رو گذاشته 99 ماه، یا حتی برنامه‌ای مثل استارتاپ رو تا حدی میخواد کم رنگ تر بکنه و یا برنامه مثل HNC Humanitarian Convention. به خاطر اینا رو که میخواد کم رنگ تر نشون بده، یعنی میخواد کاری بکنه که من همیشه مثالی که میزنم میگفتم که گاورمنت اومده راحت ترین و ارزون ترین راه رو انتخاب کرده. یعنی اگه میخواست they want to encourage people to don't apply for refugee، هیچ راهی نبود، نمیتونست این کارو. تنها راهی که بسیار ساده بود، کم هزینه است، این که بیاد پروسسینگ تایمشو بکنه 99 ماه. به همین سادگی کلی از کلاینت های ما که they want to apply for refugee to change their mind and they want to apply for a skilled worker، اینا حالا میخوان عوض کنن نظرشون رو، بیان برای اسکیل ورکر اپلای بکنن، برای نیرو متخصص برن جلو. و این سویچ کردن ما داریم میبینیم در عالم واقعیت که خیلی از کلاینت ها اونا که میخواستن HNC برن، میخواستن مثلا رفیوجی اقدام کنن، الان نظرشون رو عوض کردن و میخوان برنامه‌ای مثل نیرو متخصص رو برن، اسکیل ورکر رو برن. و
اسکیل ورکر اگر بشن راحت تر میتونن بمونن.
exactly. ببین اسکیل ورکر
ولی اگر نصف اونا که الان داره میگن نصف اونا که temporary residency دارن میخوان بندازن بیرون، نمیشه گفت، ولی میخوان بگن you know you can't stay longer.
No, it's not true. No,
it's not going to be that many.
No, it's not true. ببینید ما الان حدود 3 میلیون TRV داریم تو کانادا و کاری که اداره مهاجرت داره انجام میده این که هدفمند، ببینید شما وقتی نه اینکه بخواد بندازه بیرون، نه این شاید باشه جالبی نیست در واقع هدف اینه که کسانی که میخوان they want to get primary residency اینا باید هدفمند bاشن، یعنی باید بتونن واقعا کمک بکنن به اکونومی کانادا.
So which for I mean خیلی confusingه فکر کنم واسه ایرانی که مثلا داخل ایران باشن. فقط 2 سال پیش بود دیگه، پس بعد از مهسا 2 سال پیش 2 or 3 years ago که گفتن I mean they didn't say it quite like this but it was very much an open policy of come, you'll get a work permit and all of that. It's a kind of a mind bend now to suddenly now it's basically I'm imagining I'm imagining that the advice that you would give somebody in contact with you from Iran today is very different from what it would have been a year ago.
Exactly. Everything is different from last year. امروز من اگه بخوام بهشون ادوایس بدم این که بهترین مسیری که اونایی که از ایران میخوام بیان تحصیلیه. دولت گاورمنت کانادا 2 روز پیش اعلام کرد که اونهایی که میخوان مستر دوره برای مستر یا اپلای فور مستر پی اچ دی اینا خیلی اکسپدایت میکنه پروسسشون رو برای پی اچ دی، همش 2 هفته پروسسینگ تایم میشه. They can apply for with their family. It's very big difference from last year. اینه که میتونن راحت به خانواده هاشون اقدام بکنن. این خیلی خوبه و عملاً کانادا داره تشویق میکنه. Encourage people to apply for a master or PhD, not just for colleges. خب این خیلی خوبه و کسی که الان تو ایران اگه بخواد اقدام کنه الان بهترین is the best opportunity I think. میدونی مشکل اینجاست که خیلیا مثلا تو ایران مشکل زبان دارن، نمیرن دنبالش. واقعا الان اگه کسی بتونه زبان انگلیسی خوب بگیره، نمره خوب بگیره، معدلشو بالا نگه داره، بهترین فرصت برای اومدن تو کاناداست. تحصیلی که الان خود دولت کانادا داره هی روش emphasize میکنه، encourage میکنه people.
It's a positive spin you're putting on it. یه چیز خیلی پوزیتیوش کردی. اگر تحصیل کرده باشن و ماسترز و پی اچ دی میخوان بخونن they can get. Hesam, the same question to you. I mean, has it been it must be strange to be you to literally have to, if not reverse, amend the advice that you would give to somebody who's contacting you who wants to come here from a place like Iran?
So again, it depends on their profile, right? I have a couple of comments on what just Vahid talked about, right? I almost agree with most of the things that he mentioned, but certain programs were named and people listen to us, right? And then Vahid is an expert on the subject matter, right? He doesn't have enough time to get into the details, but those people like hear his words and then they panic, right? We have a lot of people who have applied through, you know how it works, Vahid, right? Like his clients will start calling him tomorrow, Vahid, what the hell are you talking about? Because, it's a very serious subject matter. A lot of people have I don't know, they have resigned from their jobs, they have changed their life plans, they have applied through, let's say, you touched on humanitarian and compassionate grounds. You touched on the startup visa. Those people usually, as we know, they spend a lot of money. I'm not gonna tell you the figures.
Are you saying that you guys have to paint a rosier picture for fear of alarming those people?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. But what I'm saying is, the picture is already too dark. We cannot make it darker, especially for some people who have already applied for certain programs. Especially for people who have already paid a lot of money. Because some figures, Jian, I cannot talk about in this program. Some people spend a lot of money, and he knows it, right? And they have already done that.
So these people are in Iran.
They are in Iran.
What are they spending money on?
On different programs. I'm not going to single out a single program, but you see what
kinds of programs? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about permanent residency applications, right? I'm not going to single out one application.
Who do they spend the money to? I mean,
depends. You're
not naming names. I mean, tell me what you're actually talking about. I don't actually know.
So let me make an example. We have certain.
I mean, I hear people pay to get in, but I want to know what are the mechanics of that.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So let me make an example. We have this program called entrepreneurship programs, right? They're provincial entrepreneurship programs, where an applicant has to commit to a certain number, like let's say $1 million, $2 million, $3 million of investment in a particular province or territory. They have to spend a lot of money for the process of business integration, the business plan, the pitch deck, the everything, right? So some people have already spent a lot of money.
So they're buying their way into citizenship.
I wouldn't call. I don't. I
You're
disagree.
not going to accept that.
No, I disagree with that term. You know why? Because let me tell you why.
Which term? The buying or the?
Yes,
or
the buying.
Okay,
I disagree with that because Canada, and that's not my job, but I'm gonna do it. Canada is one of the few countries, even the United States right now, with this new golden cards and green cards and gray cards and whatever they are. Canada is one of the few countries in the world that do not sell its citizenship or permanent residency. Why? A very good example is with passive investment, you cannot get Canadian permanent. We cannot get status.
But you just made the case that people are getting
that's
in
a different
they're
thing.
Spending money on.
Yeah, that's a different thing. That is active investment. So that's a good thing for the country and for those people because they are creating jobs for Canadians, because they are investing in their own business, be it entrepreneurship programs, investment programs, startup visa, anything like that. They are investing in a business. They're creating jobs for Canadians.
But the bottom line is, if you have money, it's easier to get into Canada than if you don't.
I kind of disagree with that, but isn't that the case in every single aspect of human life?
I guess so. But I mean, is that to say that, well, I don't know if that was the case a couple of years ago. Again, we've seen a reversal. I mean...
No, it used to be. You definitely remember
when
that.
The doors
Jian,
were opened...
Jian, you're a bit older than me. You remember that. We used to have a program. we used to have a program in Canada called the Federal Investment Program. It's dead and buried now. But we used to have it. So that was like, you pay money, you invest. There were eligibility criteria. I'm not saying the government would sell the permanent residency or citizenship status, but you paid. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're an entrepreneur, if you can spend money and have some other basic eligibility criteria, then it would be much easier for you to immigrate to Canada than a person who is penniless.
Okay.
I think everybody agrees on that, right? Yeah. I'm not saying whether it's fair or not. I don't know. Maybe you have a genius who's penniless and then he cannot immigrate, right? Or she cannot immigrate. I'm not going to. But what I'm saying is some people have already spent that money, that kind of money, on any of these programs. So we should be as accurate as possible and as realistic as possible so that those people can sleep at night, right? What I'm trying to say, for people who have already applied for these programs, they're safe. They are safe because these rules, whatever they are not going to be applied retroactively.
Okay.
So they should rest assured.
But for the people just starting the process now, thinking about coming to Canada, this is going to be an issue.
No, I wouldn't put it that way, but yes, For some streams, as Vahid just mentioned, things have got more and more difficult. For some streams, so he touched on study permits, right? Right now, study permit is way more difficult, way more difficult than it used to be in the past. But he mentioned PhD streams, yes. For PhD streams,
Well, both of you guys are like a positive. I mean, I get it. You don't want to freak people out, but I mean, that's not an insignificant ask that you have to be getting. Coming for a PhD.
That's what I'm saying.
That does eliminate a fair amount of people.
Exactly.
And is it fair to say there's more uncertainty now after these laws, after these rules, and with the imposition of C-12, that there'll be more uncertainty for Iranians who want to come to Canada?
No.
Okay.
No.
So is there anything bad about these new laws for Iranians who want to come to Canada? Or is it all positive?
Jian, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
You were just quoting Iranians in Persian. Like you said, Iranians now, they say something. What did you say? You were saying that they're the way they think about other nationalities.
Yeah.
Can you say that in Farsi?
Well, I didn't say it yet on this show.
No,
you mean in the intro?
No, we were talking together casually.
Before.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to that.
Yeah.
به زبان فارسی میخوای بگم؟
Yeah, because that's so sweet.
خب مثلا که چرا مسخره بود؟
Do you make fun of my English?
No, your English is excellent.
So I don't make fun of your Farsi. It's excellent.
آخه همین به شما گفتم که توی اینتروداکشن هم گفتم که یه پارادوکسی هم هست که ایرانی‌ها من حسم نمی‌کنم میشناسم چند نفر که مثلا در این سالهای اخیر اومدن کانادا، خودشون مهاجر هستن دیگه، اومدن اینجا ولی میگن که مثلا why are they letting in so many immigrants, stop letting in the immigrants and you kind of want to go dude خودت که immigrant هستی. ولی ممکنه منظورش هم immigrant یعنی not Iranian other immigrants. اونم هست که مثلا من فکر کنم بعضی ایرانی ها خیلی این رول چینجز ها رو دوست داشته باشن، میگن اوکی ما که الان اینجا هستیم ما اتفاقا دوست داریم کمی بوردرها رو ببندن، ولی 10 سال پیش they wouldn't have liked it as much because they wouldn't have been able to come. So اونم یه کمی that's something that I feel like we struggle with in our community. Is that what you were talking about? You want me to say?
Exactly.
Okay, what's your response to that?
So we Iranians, being Iranians, we say these things, right? So that's, I think, the main reason. We Iranians being Iranians, right? I think Vahid agrees with me, but it depends on how you look at it, Jian. If you look at it from the viewpoint of jurisprudence or procedural fairness, then that is nonsense. Then that the one law or a piece of legislation should apply to everyone equally. And there is a very, very big but. And that but is you cannot, when it comes to legislation and laws, especially in certain societal matters like immigration, it's not just like that. It's not that black or white. I want to say something now about Iranians, right? And I am going to advocate for it. And I know my colleagues, recognized colleagues like Vahid and other colleagues have advocated for that, and we advocate for it. I have a question for you guys. What is the most important humanitarian and compassionate ground consideration factor when you are assessing an HNC case? It's ties to this country, to your country of residence, right? So when 3 years ago, the government of Justin Trudeau opened the doors to Iranians, and they said, if you have any kind of temporary resident visa, regardless of what it is, come to Canada, we'll give you an open work permit, not for 6 months, not for 1 year, because we had similar policies for the Lebanese, for some other nationalities, but the work permit was not valid for 3 years. For 3 years, imagine you come here, You get an open work permit for 3 years. You sell your home. You bring your kids to Canada, especially girls, because I advocate for girls. I really do, because they are very susceptible and they're very vulnerable, more vulnerable than boys. You bring them here, you send them to school, you become a member of your community. I don't know, you go to church, you go to monastery, you go to church, you go to mosque, you have a job here, and then after 3 years, the way they treat you cannot be the same as the way they treat somebody who has never stepped foot in Canada.
So what is going to happen to that person that you just described?
That's what I'm talking about.
Are those part of the people that might have to leave the country?
Unfortunately, the answer for now is yes.
Because why? Because they're not highly skilled, or in some cases, or because they haven't they can no longer apply for asylum.
Okay, let me paint the picture for you.
You just did. I mean, that was the picture, wasn't it?
No, there's
another picture.
There's another picture,
okay.
And there is more to it. Like Vahid said, we have around about, this is an approximate number, forgive me if I'm not being accurate, we have around about a couple of million temporary residents in Canada as of now, right? Now, the government mentioned that up to 33,000 temporary residents will transition into PR in the span of 2 years. That would be, that number is ridiculous. That's like
barely 10% or around
barely nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And
so what happens to the other people?
They cannot apply for asylum. Why? And this is a big question, Vahid. I want your input on that as well. This is a big question. Imagine, and I'm not advocating for any conspiracy here. I really am not. The government has a mandate, and I love this new government and its approaches. I'm not advocating for any conspiracy. But imagine I tell you, Jian, come here. I'll give you a work permit, an open work permit. Like, you can do whatever you want. You can work for any employer for 3 years. Stay here. And I'm going to extend it for you. I mean, if you apply again, I don't know, your clients have done that, right? Yep. You apply once, you get a 3-year work permit. The year after you apply again, they give you another 3-year work permit. All of a sudden, there comes this Bill C-12 out of the blue, and they say, okay, if you entered Canada after 2020, and then 1 year has passed from your original entry into Canada, you can no longer apply for asylum. What if your circumstances have changed, right? So that's for the asylum part. For other streams to permanent residency, I told you about that TR to PR. I hear a lot of advertisements around about immigration industry. The TR to PR it's nothing like what happened during COVID. Nothing like that. It's only 33,000, up to 33,000 in a span of 2 years. So that's it. Other streams, federal skilled worker that Vahid referred to. Do you know the profile of a person who qualifies for that right now? You need to be below 32, 33 years old, way, way, way younger than we are. Your English should be perfect, like that of a native speaker. You need to know French. You need to have a PhD. You need to have Canadian work experience. Out of the people you know, Iranians, Iranian diaspora in Canada, what percentage of people
would fit them all?
Can you tell me?
So now what you've just said doesn't sound as optimistic.
It is not.
شما موافقی ما همین چیزا که حسام گفته؟
Thank you something. من تقریبا موافقم. یک کوچولو چیزی میخوام عرض. تو برنامه نیرو متخصص خیلی برنامه مثلا خود برنامه استان آنتاریو که ما الان داخلش هستیم have many programs that the age doesn't matter for them. سنشون اصلا امتیاز نداره، مدرک تحصیلی امتیاز نداره، زبان امتیاز نداره و حتی سابقه کار کانادایی هم نمیخواد. ببینید ما مشکلمون گفتم یه مشکلی که الان که با کلاینت های ایرانی که خودمون داریم، من در حال حاضر شاید بالای 4-5 هزار تا کلاینت دارم که دارم هندلشون میکنم، با همشون در ارتباطم، صحبت میکنم و مشکلاتشون رو میام باشون صحبت میکنه. بیشتر حتی ما مشاور روانشناسی هم میدیم، من تبدیل به سایکولوژیستم شدم و موقعی که باشون صحبت میکنم مشکل ما اینجاست که خیلی ها درک درستی از کلاینت های ما، درک درستی از شرایط اینجا ندارن، نه حاضرند فرنچ بخونن و نه حاضرند تورنتو و ونکوور رو ترک بکنن و این بزرگترین مشکل کامیونیتی ایرانیه. کامیونیتی ایرانی انقدر تو خودش دوست داره حل بشه و انقدر دوست داره با خودش درگیر بشه که دوست نداره تورنتو و ونکوور رو ترک بکنه، شهرهایی که ایرانی نشین زیاد دارن. یعنی دوست داره جایی که میشینه کنسرت ایرانی بره، سوپرمارکت ایرانی سر کوچه‌اش باشه، رستوران ایرانی بره غذاشو بخوره و وقتی میگیم خب اوکی in this way you won't get your permanent residency میگه نه این فیر نیست، نمیدونم من اینجوری. یه مشکل بزرگ ما اینه. ولی در صورتی که همین الان ما پروگرامایی تو خودم این استان آنتاریو داریم، مثل برنامه فارم ورکرز، مثل برنامه این دیمند اسکیلز استریم، مثل برنامه اینترنشنال استودنت استریم، اینا هیچ کدومشون نه سن اهمیت داره. حتی تو برنامه مثل فارم ورکرز و این دیمند نه مدرک تحصیلی. شما یک ایرانی 60 ساله دیپلمات با مینیموم ریکوایرمنت زبانم در نظر بگیرید، اگر حاضر بشه تورنتو رو ترک کنه و ونکوور رو ترک کنه، نمیدونم شهرهای بزرگ اینجا زندگی نکنه، تو مناطق کم جمعیت زندگی کنه، به راحتی میتونه پیارش رو بگیره. بله من قبول دارم که it's not easy to find a job in rural area. بخواد شما بخواید جاب تو اونجا پیدا بکنین سخته، it's difficult. من هیچ وقت از واژه آسون استفاده نمی کنم، ولی میشه، شدنیه. من همین الان کلی کلاینت دارم که به زور با دعوا فرستادمشون، میگم میان شب میکنن تو کیسیگونی با میبرنت. باید بره، به خاطر اینکه اگه نره نمیتونه پیارش رو بگیره و واقعا موفق میشه. میره. من یک کلاینت داشتم قصاب بود،
خیلی خوبه.
بهش گفتم که برو مثلا شهرهای بزرگ مثل پری ساوند، میگم نه اونجا برم 3 ساعت بریم، میگم نه اونجا برم نمیدونم جاب نیست و به زور فرستادمش. روز دوم به من زنگ زده که آی بابا من جابم رو گرفتم، تموم شد. گفتم خیلی خب حالا که جابتو گرفتی صدت رو بذار، جلب توجه کن براش. کلی تلاش کرد، 1 ماه جاب آفرش هم گرفت و پیارش هم به راحتی گرفت بدون هیچ مشکلی. خیلی از برنامه استان آنتاریو همین الان هستن که رو مناطق کم جمعیت روستایی به راحتی به شما پیار میدن. فقط مشکل اینجاست که شما باید اینو قبول بکنی که نمیتونی you cannot have all things together. نمیتونی بگی من یه جای خوب میخوام زندگی کنم، تورنتو باشم، کامیونیتی ایرانی باشم، زبانم خیلی خوب نیست، سنم بالا رفته، همه اینا رو هم دارم و در بزنن knock the door and give me PR. نه این امکان پذیر نیست، not possible. ولی اگه واقعا کسی دوست داشته باشه بتونه بره مناطق کم جمعیت، به راحتی میتونه PR شو بگیره.
Do you guys, I mean, since this is your job, from your position, do you like when were you energized? I mean, was it good for business a couple of years ago when they said, okay, come and we'll turn your any sort of temporary permit into a permanent one, or make it easier for you for Iranians? Or do you agree? I mean, be honest, it's okay. People will understand if you like having the business. Or do you feel like if part of this reset is to say, look, there's all kinds of reasons driving this, right? Some of them are economic, some of them are political. People are saying enough. 10% of the population of Canada, 10% of the population of this country came in the last 3 or 4 years. It's crazy. That's a crazy stat, right? And one of the arguments is now you have to take some time to settle those people, to figure out the cases of all those people. Does that resonate for you, that I'm okay with if we don't have as many coming in, let's deal with the people who are here? Or do you wish there to be a more open policy for your own business, Hesam?
That's a very difficult question, Jian. The very difficult question because I am an immigrant in this country. Right now I'm a Canadian citizen, and honest to God, because I used to live in Europe, and I love Canada for one particular thing, because it's a very welcoming country. Now I'm a Canadian citizen, right? And I have never felt that other Canadian citizens, born and raised here, of white ethnicity, they're superior to me. I've never got that feeling. And for that reason, I love Canada. So a part of me really, really wants Canada to prosper, because this is right now it's my first home. So a part of me really wants Canada to prosper.
Okay.
And an open door policy, like you mentioned, and I'm going to again refer to the previous Liberal government, does not necessarily do Canada good. It really doesn't. Everybody agrees with me. I love the humanitarian and compassionate considerations the government has. I love the way they care for protected people. I'm not referring to those things. But what I'm talking about is an open door policy does not necessarily do the country good, right? So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is that even when a lot of people come to Canada, like there is an open door policy, it's not necessarily good for even immigration businesses, right? So if things kind of fall into an equilibrium, if we can find that state of equilibrium where the number of people who come here, their expertise and their profiles really fit the needs of the government, and at the same time Canada can uphold its commitment to humanitarian considerations, then I think that's when the whole society, all businesses, including our business, will prosper. So it's a multifactorial question, but I tried to.
Well, it's a good answer. I was going to say, I appreciate it. In what way is open door immigration not good for immigration consultants?
Not good for immigration
You
consultants?
said even for immigration consultants, it could be a negative thing. How so?
Yeah, because like imagine a lot of people coming to Canada with, with an open work permit, right? Like right now, I don't have that stat on Iranians. Do you have the stat on Iranians who have entered Canada and now they're on open work permits through that Iranian policy?
No.
I don't have a stat on it, but it's a very, very big number,
yeah.
Right? These people are already in Canada, right? They are struggling. A lot of them struggle, right? Why? Because they were not prepared for this, because they had a visitor visa. A lot of them don't know English. A lot of them do not know, even medical professionals. I have a lot of people who come to me for consultation. They're medical professionals. They were respected medical professionals back home, but their English is not that good. They were not prepared for this. They do not know much about the Medical Council of Canada examinations, equivalency examinations. They were not ready simply for this process. They came here, they spent all their money, and now they're looking at PR opportunities. And more often than not, I tell them, listen, had you given me a call when you were in Iran, I would have totally advised you against this decision. And now, right now, there is not much I can do for you because you didn't come here prepared, right? So in that sense, if you are talking about the quantity of clients, yes, the quantity usually increases when there is an open door policy. But it's not necessarily, in terms of quality and in terms of outcome, it's not necessarily good even for immigration professionals. That's what I meant.
Do you have Vahid, do you have cases like that too, where people have come here and you sort of say, if you'd asked me for advice, I would have told you don't come? And is that the case now? I mean, is there a situation where people now you would say, listen, wait, and let's see how this next few years is going to unfold. This isn't the time to come to Canada?
I'm sorry, may I add something?
Every time I ask a question, you need to add something. Go ahead, yes.
What I meant was, I don't necessarily mean that I would have asked them not to come to Canada, but I would have asked them to stay in Iran and follow the right procedure, which best suit them. That's what I meant.
Oh.
My advice is not necessarily, no, I'm against you coming to Canada. But this process is not necessarily
Sorry,
the best thing.
what's the right procedure?
Okay, so you know that a lot of these Iranians had a visitor visa, right? Because their sister or their brother, their siblings, their parents, whatever.
I see. And then
they came here on a visitor visa. They got an
that's
open
what you
work
mean by
permit.
not prepared.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sorry, right, go ahead. Sorry for that.
Not really. I won't ask anybody to not to come to Canada, of course. من حتی معتقدم که
Really, you wouldn't say there's never a situation where you say you might come here but you might get اینجا دستگیر بشی و بعدش نمیتونی بمونی سخت میشه. You don't ever say that?
چیزی که من به کلاینتم میگم مهم نیست که الان شما چه سیچویشنی تو ایران داری. شما اوکی if you're not getting prepared to come to Canada اگه خودتو آماده نکردی اوکی doesn't matter میتونی بیای اینجا هم تلاش خودتو بکنی. من الان کلاینتای زیادی دارم که واقعا هیچ کاری تو ایران نکردن، یعنی سطح زبانشون بسیار ضعیفه و شغل خیلی خوبی نداشتن، ولی اون چیزی که مهمه اینه که بعد از این که اینها وارد کانادا میشن حالا قدر این سیچویشن رو بدونن. They should know that this work permit is very very great and میتونه این work permit خیلی استفاده ازش بکنن. کلاینت زیادی دارم که از این work permitی که دولت واقعا اینجوری بهشون داده خیلی قدر اینو نمیدونن. مشکل اینه اگه بدونن که این work permit چقدر ارزشمنده، ما سالهای گذشته چقدر برای همچین work permitی تلاش میکنیم، چقدر سخت میشد گرفت. الان کلاینت زیاد دارم اومدن اینجا اوکی زبان ضعیف بوده، کار بلد نیست، ولی روزای اول که باشون صحبت کردم هدایتشون کردم گفتم شما اوکی اشکال نداره زبان ضعیفه، برو به جای اینکه بری توی کامیتی ایرانی کار بکنی برو تو کامیتی کانادایی کار بکن. 6 ماه 1 سال شما توی کامیتی کانادایی کار بکنی خیلی سطح زبانت خوب میشه، میای بالا. نه خیلی هاشون هم میکنن. آره نه درسته، ولی واقعا خیلی هاشون هم انجام میدن. یعنی من معتقدم که ما این فرصت رو نمیتونیم از کسی بگیریم. ما نمیتونیم بگیم شما از ایران نیا. ایران جایی برای زندگی دیگه نیست، نه آب داره، نه هوا داره، نه هیچ چیز استانداردی برای زندگی بسیار بسیار معمولی تو ایران وجود نداره که یه نفر بخواد به اون دل خوش کنه که نیاد. من میگم بیا، حتی اگه زبانت هم ضعیفه، اگر مشکل هم داری بیا، اما اینجا اومدی دیگه you need to change your life.
It's so interesting that you say when some people don't appreciate when they've come here and I've thought about that. I reflected on that actually more recently too, when a lot of Iranians came to Canada, and because it's so much easier, like anything in life, you get the sense that it isn't. I mean, Iranians so value the opportunity to move to America because it's hard, you know. And I kind of think, well, why is it that much better to be in the U.S. than it is in Canada? I mean, make the argument this is a better place to be, but because it's easier, it seems like, oh, madim Canada, vali America, kash ke mitunisim berim America, you know. And it's like, do you find that? Is that?
Jian, you couldn't put it any better than this. Because, I mean, you said it perfectly. Yes, when I say they are not prepared, that's what I mean. It used to be, as Vahid said, so you see, my premise is the same as Vahid's. However, the world he lives in, to me, sounds like Alice in Wonderland. Because when you don't speak the language, when you don't have enough money to support yourself, when you don't have the right tools and skills to integrate or to work in Canadian economy, in what universe, Vahid, can a person get employed in Canada, right? Especially given I am not against people moving to Canada. I 100% agree with you. That's a life-changing thing. As Jian said, I think Canada is a very good country to live in, even maybe better than the United States in many aspects, right? A lot of people agree on that. But when you give something to someone on a silver plate, they are not prepared for it, more often than not, they fail, right? So that's what I meant, and I 100% agree with you, Jian. I agree with him. An open work permit in Canada is a very, very precious opportunity, right? But you need to be well equipped for it. You need to be well prepared. If not, a lot of the time, you fail. and you do not succeed. And then it causes a lot of disappointment, a lot of financial damage, a lot of emotional damage.
Do a lot of Canadians still come to Canada? Do a lot of Iranians still come to Canada with the hope or anticipation that this will be a gateway to go to the United States?
من یه مثالی دارم معتقدم بهش. کلاً حتی من خودم ایرانیم، حالا ایرانی که دارم میگم شامل خودم میشه. ما ایرانی که از اون سیچویشن و شرایطی که قرار داره راضی باشه اصلا یا نداریم، یا خیلی کلا سخت پیدا میشه. یعنی شما ایرانی رو هر کجای دنیا که بفرستید به حال یه ایرادی باید توش در بیاد و دنبال یه جای بهتر باشه. یعنی شما اینو ایرانی رو من مثال برای کلاینت خودم محض فانش میذارم، میگم شما ما رو بهشت هم بفرستن میگیم این چرا حوریه 70 متره، چرا این جوی آبش انقدر غلیظه، این درخت چقدر سر صدا میکنه، چرا انقدر اینا اینجوریان. یعنی یه ایرادی باید همیشه به هر کجایی که هستیم بگیریم و این یه چیزی که به حال نهادی نشه تو سیستم کار ما. بله من شنیدم خیلی از کلاینت‌های من هم که میان بعد از اینکه میان اینجا خب حالا رویا این دارن که برن امریکا. ولی جالب بدونید که از زمانی که آقای ترامپ اومده تو امریکا تعداد تماس‌های ما از اونایی که از امریکا میخوان بیان ایمیگرنت مهاجران بیان تو کانادا 10 برابر شده. یعنی تعداد افرادی که همین الان من تو کلاینتایی که الان تو امریکا دارم که قصد دارن واقعا برگردن بیان به کانادا یا قصد دارن که مهاجرت کنن، که تعدادشون خیلی زیاد شده به دلایل مختلف ها. ولی به طور کل من یک نکته رو فقط بگم بعد در جواب حسام عزیز که خیلی قشنگ توضیح داد، دقیقاً منم با ایشون موافقم. ما نمیتونیم بگیم که یه نفر که هیچی نداره، یعنی نه زبان داره، نه اسکیل داره، نه مهارت داره، مهم اینه که این فرد بدونه داره کجا میاد و چی کار میکنه. ما حتی همون فرد هم بهش این اپورتونیتی رو بدیم که بیاد، حالا دیگه اون خودش میدونه که بخواد این اپورتونیتی رو استفاده بکنه، اینجا ستل بشه، بتونه از امکانات فسیلیتی اینجا استفاده کنه و بمونه، یا اینکه نمیتونه و برگرده.
ولی واسه کانادا خوبه یا خوب نیست که اون نفر بیاد اینجا بدون زبان، بدون کار؟ الان that's the issue, right?
جان من یه چیزی بهت بگم. ما همین الان تو این کانادا دوستای خودمون افرادی داریم که 20 سال 30 سال تو کانادا هستن و در حد چند تا جمله انگلیسی هم نمیتونن صحبت بکنن. اینقدر که تو کامیونیتی ایرانی بودن، بعضی مالیشون هم خیلیشون حتی خوب شده بعد، ولی نمیتونن اصلا انگلیسی صحبت بکنن. یعنی اصلا نیازی نبوده، انقدر کامیونیتی ایرانی اینجا بزرگ شده و انقدر جابایی هستن که شما تو اصلا نیازی به انگلیسی صحبت کردن خیلیشون پیدا نمیکنن. و نمیتونیم بگیم اینا موفق نیستند و نمیتونیم بگیم که اینها به درد کانادا نمیخورن. نه، تو همه کامیونیتی ما چاینیز هم داریم افرادی که اصلا نمیتونن انگلیسی صحبت بکنن ولی تو کامیونیتی خودشون آدم موفقی هستن. هندیان به همین ترتیب، خیلی از کامیونیتی روسا هم به همین ترتیب. من معتقدم این اپورتونیتی باید به همه داده بشه، فارغ از این که حالا اون فرد اصلا هیچ کوالیفیکیشنی داره یا نداره، اما اینکه اون فرد چطور میتونه از این شرایط استفاده بکنه مهمه. و برای کانادا هم طبیعتاً من معتقدم اتفاقاً هرچه این کشور بیشتر مهاجر بگیره به نفعشه، به شرطی که اینفراستراکچرش رو بتونه درست بکنه، این زیر ساخت‌ها درست بشه، ما مشکل هلسکر ایژوکیشن نداشته باشیم، یعنی و بتونیم رو اینتگریشن اینا با هم کار بکنیم که این نیو کامری که داره میاد to be integrated to this community. اینا خیلی مهمن. اگر ما به جای اینکه بیایم صورت مسئله رو پاک کنیم، تعداد افراد رو هی کم بکنیم، محدود کنیم، دانشجو رو ببندیم، شما فکر میکنید با دانشجو راه ندادن دانشجو به نفع اقتصاد کاناداست؟ شما برید نگاه بکنید الان تمام کاندوهایی که تو داونتاون اکثرا خالی مونده. خب منی که اونر اون کاندو هستم وقتی کاندوم خالی میمونه به من صدمه میزنه، فکر میکنید من به نفع اقتصاد کانادا دارم کار؟ نه، همینا ضرره. یعنی شما وقتی جلوگیری میکنی از یه قشری مثل دانشجو، اینا دومینووار همه به هم دیگه وصلن. وقتی الان پیش شما نگاه یکی از بزرگترین معضلاتی که الان گریبان همه رو گرفته بحث این پری کانستراکشن هاست که خیلی با امید این که نیوکامر ها میان، نمیدونم استودنت ها میان کاندوها رو پر میکنن، پری کانستراکشن خریدن، همشون دارن به مرز ورشکستگی میرن. این به نظر شما به نفع کاناداست؟ نه، نیست قطعاً. یعنی من به نظرم که بیایم صورت مسئله رو پاک کنیم، اینو ببندیم، در رو ببندیم، اونو راه ندیم، اینو بگیریم، این کارو نکنیم. معقول و منطقی راه بدیم، نه مثل 2-3 سال پیش که هر کسی بدون 4 سال پیش که بدون مدرک زبان از یک کالج خیلی ساده هم میتونه استادی پرمیت بگیره، نه مثل الان که کلاینت من که دانشجوی مستر رو دارن با فول فاند ریجکتش میکنن. نه اون نه این، یک حد اعتدال رو رعایت بکنیم ولی اجازه بدیم اقتصاد پویا باشه. شما وقتی اینا رو هی میبندی،
the argument would be if you let in all kinds of people in a very open and major way, as happened in recent years, and you don't have the infrastructure or capability or facility to integrate those people into not just the Canadian economy, the Canadian culture, then you suddenly have a bunch of people who've come here who don't even I mean, I think, you became a Canadian citizen. You told that story. When we came here many years ago with my family, it was with the intent of becoming Canadian. There's a lot of people coming here now that I don't see are that interested in becoming Canadian other than just to get the passport, maybe, but who are interested in coming here, not just Iranians I'm talking about, but coming here and basically squatting here and existing and perpetrating the same culture that they had somewhere else, and just coming here because maybe the streets are nicer, or it's better a situation with their kids. That's not necessarily positive for the country either, right? That kind of open immigration.
بله، منم گفتم صحبتم به جای اینکه دولت بیاد به نظر من صورت مسئله رو پاک کنه، بیان اونا هی لیمیتیشن بذارن، هی محدود بکنن اون بخشو، این هزینه ها باید بیاد روی اینفراستراکچر کار بشه، روی زیر ساختای کانادا کار بشه. یعنی کانادا باید بیاد، دولت بیاد رو این بخش بیشتر کار بکنه تا اینکه بخوایم اون رو ببندیم. شما نگاه کنید همین الان میگم بستن و محدود کردن ورک پرمیت ها خیلی جا اپورتونیتی ها رو خالی میذاره. شما نمیتونید بگید ما فقط میخوایم دکتر مهندس تو کانادا راه بدیم. این کار غلطه، اشتباهه، به خاطر اینکه یه دکتر مهندس نمیتونه کار یه دونه جنرال لیبر برات انجام بده. شما این سکشن خالی میمونه. شما نمیتونید بیاد فقط من سرمایه گذار راه میدم. خب سرمایه گذار نمیاد اینجا برای شما کار بکنه. شما باید یه براود رنج از تمام این ورک پرمیت ها، اونایی که هستن که میتونن کار بکنن، تو کانادا راه بدید. ولی این اینفراستراکچری که باید درست بشه، این زیر ساختاست که باید درست بشه، باید there should be many pathways to integrate newcomers to the communities. این خیلی مهمه. این اینتگریشن خیلی اهمیت داره. ستل شدن خیلی مهمه. وگرنه همین الان این اتفاقاتی که اخیراً افتاده و این محدودیت ها ضرر و خسارتی که داره به اقتصاد کانادا میزنه، بسیاری از کالج ها بسته شدن. ببینید ما مؤسسات زیادی کار میکردیم، ما سالی بالای 1000 تا استودنت داشتیم، الان اون مؤسسات دیگه ندارن، همشون دارن میبندن، بسته میشن، فکولتیاشون داره تعطیل میشه، خیلی از اساتید دانشگاه، کارمندا همه دارن بیکار میشن. این حجم از بیکاری، این حجم از اخراج، اینا هم به ضرر کانادا خواهد بود. میتونه همه اینا رو با هم دیگه توی پلان منظم داشته باشه و روی settlement و تو integration کار.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, to the most part.
Okay.
I think the issue vis-a-vis immigration is not necessarily quantity, but it's
integration,
infrastructure, as Vahid mentioned, and integration. And these two.
Well, infrastructure is related to quantity, isn't it? I mean, we have to have the resources to be able to accommodate everybody.
Yes, that makes sense. However, if you can integrate, well, you see, there are people who come to Canada. If they are chosen correctly, if the immigrants, we have a merit-based system and we are proud of it, right? So if for the sectors like Prime Minister Carney mentioned, and he keeps mentioning it, we should have a focused approach, because the leader of the opposition kept insisting on the fact that the TFWP, or the Temporary Foreign Worker Program, should be totally shut down. In response, I think Prime Minister Carney had a very pragmatic and a very rational approach. He said that instead of eliminating that program, we should have a focused and pragmatic approach. Okay. So if we generalize it to immigration, if we have a focused and a pragmatic approach to immigration, like Vahid said, then immigration can do this country a lot of good.
Okay. This will be an ongoing conversation because things keep changing. And so we have to keep having the conversation. I'm grateful to have you guys here. A final question, and I mean, I don't know if you would see any change in this, but I'm curious to ask it. Do you think these rule changes, law changes, and the proposed C-12, do you think that they will have an effect on how Canada is seen as a destination for Iranians? In other words, are these changes going to change the nature of Canada as a dream destination the way it has been in recent years? You first, Vahid, and then final word to Hesam.
Absolutely not. اتفاقا این رولایی که داره چنج میشه من کاملا هم باش موافقم و فکر میکنم که هنوز اول راهه و یه ذره این شاید قوانین تغییراتی که داره میکنه حقیقت بهتر و بهتری باشه. میگم همین اتفاقی که جدید افتاد دو روز پیش فهمیدیم خب مثلا کانادا داره ادورتایز میکنه، تبلیغ میکنه برای تحصیل توی کانادا، برای مثلا مستر یا پی اچ دی یا به حال ظرفیت برنامه‌های PMP Provincial Nominee Programs رو افزایش داده، تقریبا دابل کرده. اینا خیلی خبرهای خوبیه به نظر من و من فکر میکنم که با این سیستم اگه بخوایم پیش بریم نه تنها از محبوبیت کانادا کم میشه بلکه افزوده میشه. من یه چیزی بگم، کانادا چیزهایی داره که شما نمیتونید چشاتون روش ببندین. کانادا بهترین منابع آبی و هوایی دنیا رو داره به نظر من. شما این آب و هوا رو شاید خیلی کم تو کشور دنیا میتونید داشته باشین که با این کیفیت و این کوالیتی بتونید زندگی بکنید. این چیزایی است که نمیشه شما رو بست. یعنی کسانی که دنیا رو رفتن دیدن و گشتن بعد تازه میفهمن که کجا دارن زندگی میکنن. ما خیلی از ایرانیایی که تو کانادا هستن وقتی میگیم خب چرا اینجا دوست نداری، فقط یه سفر یه هفته رفته دبی ترکیه برگشته، نمیدونه که شما وقتی اونجا زندگی میکنی it's completely different. یعنی نمیتونی اونو با مثل اون دوران معسل میمونه، ولی وقتی میری زندگی میکنی تازه میفهمی داستان چقدره. برای همون من معتقدم کانادا بسیار چیزهای ارزشمندی داره که همچنان دریم دستینیشن میمونه برای ایرانیا.
In short, in the short term maybe, but
in the short term maybe what?
Maybe that image could be a little bit stained.
Mm-hmm.
However, in the long term, definitely not, as Vahid said, because I strongly believe that Canada is the greatest country on earth for immigrants. I don't know about other things, but for immigrants, I strongly believe Canada is the greatest country on earth. And Canada will stand strong, and it will continue to be the dream destination for all immigrants, not only Persians, but from all other nationalities.
Thank you both for making the time. I know that, I mean, given the subject matter, these are busy days for you guys. And Vagan, merci for making the time and coming down and having this conversation. To be continued. Merci.
Thank you so much, Jian. So I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Jian, for having us.
Thanks, Hesam. Sort of just scratched the surface, didn't we? There's a lot to be said about this immigration situation in Canada and beyond. As we intimated in that conversation, this is something that's happening around the world. Same sort of patterns where immigration levels are being curbed, people are being sent home, and Iranians fall somewhere in the middle of wanting to be accepted in these countries and at the same time saying, stop the other immigrants coming in. We've had enough already. So give us your thoughts if you wish. info@roqemedia.com is where you can reach us. info@roqemedia.com. Our website, of course, is roqemedia.com. If you want to find everything you need to know about our show is there, including all of the back episodes of the program. Or you can just post a comment on any of our platforms, and we'll appreciate that. Next week on the show, Shahrukh Mushkin Qalam. Shahrukh Mushkin Qalam. Parisa in the break was saying, just say it fast. Don't think too much. Shahrukh Mushkin Qalam. That's full time for Roqe for today. Thanks to the amazing team who put this show together each week. Tina Farahi, leader of the Farahi Freedom Movement. Super P. Parisa, Savi Roham, and the talented Anahita. Special thanks to the CK, Charming Kimia, Smart Pega, Methodical Kave, and the Rising Keon for all of your help. Thank you to all of you out there for supporting us and sharing our content. We really appreciate it. If you give us a good review, or if you give us a couple of stars, or if you thumbs up on one of our shows, or if you share it with someone, you can subscribe on any and all of them for free. You can find me on Instagram at Jian Gomeshi, the show on Instagram at Roqe Media, and as ever, Mizun Bashi.